Hello fellow photographers, welcome back to the channel. Today I invited Tatiana to critique your photos. Tatiana runs an amazing channel about photography. About photography, not about photography. Where she shares her thoughts about photography, art, film photography and other stuff. So make sure to check it out after this video.
This is so good, honestly. I want to move to whatever this was taken. A photo is also like where you and your personality and your thoughts and everything meets with your subject. I love to find value in everything, and I think the value of this photo relies exactly on...
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you everyone who submitted their photos, and today I'm here with Tatiana to critique your photos. Hello Tatiana, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you? You okay?
Yeah, thank you for joining me today. So
I'm very excited to see.
So the idea behind this, for anyone who might be watching this for the first time, is I want to show you some photos and I want you to critique those photos as if they were your own, or if someone asked you to critique them. So give us your opinion, what you think. So let's take a look at the first one.
First of all, I really like this photo. There's an overall balance about it that I like it. I was so surprised when I first saw it because it's kind of like one of those moments that is just such a fleeting moment that you have to be really in a moment to capture it, if that makes sense. I know that I'm saying moment quite a lot, but I really like it. I like the fact that the shapes are amazing, the lines. I love the fact that these two people are going to different directions, and just overall, honestly, the color and everything, I really like it. And it's got sort of an energy about it. I don't know, a sort of observational, but also there's this peace about it, if that makes sense to me. That's what it transmits. I really like it. I feel like maybe because of the birds flying, there might be some sort of lyricism about it, so that's why it transmitted to me some sort of peace and sort of quietness, especially because the way the people were captured, in a way, it's like they're just walking by themselves. So kind of reminds me if this was near a beach, and it's kind of people are just going for a walk, minding their own things with their own thoughts. I like it, really do. I mean, congratulations to whoever took this photo. It's really one of those moments that is very hard to capture. That's what I would say.
When I first saw it, I thought wow, this is super amazing, until, I mean, it's very nice photo, right? And then I realized that those birds are probably just the stickers on the glass.
Yeah, that's right. But I feel the way I looked at it, right? And now I was kind of thinking more how it's sort of how should I put it? Let me see, because this is quite, I'm here under pressure.
No worries.
My thoughts. For me, it's not so much just the idea of having the birds, the idea of freedom, and then you have these figures engulfed into this sort of shapes. I like the idea of having a sort of the vision from this idea of being trapped and being in the freedom of a space. Does that make sense? I like that idea, especially because from the point of view it gives, it's also if somebody's just in the limbo between two spaces, kind of like a frontier, if that makes sense. And I really like the idea of the birds, because it gives you again the freedom and the sort of lyricism about it, and yet we're seeing these people from a kind of a whole, if that makes sense. And it's just, I don't know, I really like this photo, honestly. I think it's a photo that it probably resonates with a lot of things that I like to capture with my work. So very up to my alley, I would say.
Is there something you would improve?
I don't really think so, because one could say yeah, maybe, I don't know. I think there's this beauty of it, no, I don't think so. No.
All right. All right. Moving on.
Oh, well, first of all, there's I like the color kind of game of it. It's really cool. I like it. So I think, first of all, being truthful to what came across to me first, well, I think it's quite, it's very rare that you have this, just a position of red and black in every single, look at the amount of elements that you have with red in the back, the building, and then you have the cars. So there's one car on the left of this man, and then there's one behind him, then there's a flag, and it's just there's this sort of the way it's composed, it just directs your eye towards it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of red, there's a sense of red. I like that. I would probably wonder if this person knew their portrait were being taken, or it was just more like someone was walking and just took a photo. It seems like maybe this person was just like walking past, saw this moment and just took a photo, which I like about it, because that's what I saw. That's what I say on my channel a lot, which is like, take upon the moment and just like seize the opportunity in a way, all the opportunities that come through visually speaking. And I really like, he's not really facing the camera, he's just sort of like minding his own or whatever he's doing. A photo that has me wondering a lot, like wandering to the off-scene elements and the off-screen elements. And I like that about photos. I like that when it kind of like holds your attention because it touches elements off screen, and so it makes it a lot more interesting. And I like that. I like he's very natural as well. So I wonder like if this was probably like someone walking past and just took a photo and that's it, rather than just approach this man and take the photo. That's what it gives me. I really like it. I think it's pretty cool.
So what I like about this is there are some nice colors like the red and the green, right? And then also echoing like this sign on his shirt and on the flag in the background. And also,
is it San Francisco?
I'm not sure.
I think it is San Francisco. I think it might be some sort of like, oh God, I'm not going to say it because I might be wrong, but it might be some sort of team or something.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, if it's maybe a club or something like that. So then also with his like leather jacket, which seems to be like a, part of this, I wouldn't say like a motorcycle gang or something like that. And he's sitting on a scooter, right? Which is kind of funny. So I like that contrast. Now, what I don't like about this, for me, the subject is kind of lost in the background, that it's not separated. It seems like, to me, it just seems like a snapshot that someone was just walking by, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but for me the composition is just not that interesting. The subject itself seems quite interesting, this kind of like a motorcycle gang figure sitting on a scooter. It just seems like the composition is so simple, kind of flat, that you just walk by, snap it, and then just walk away. Overall, I don't like that picture.
I kind of like it. See, I've seen enough street photography and gone through enough books that I kind of like, I'm used to seeing compositions like this, very fleeting. That's why I said this probably was someone who just was running through the moment and just sees the moment. And for me, I feel that perhaps I would agree with you when it says like the subject is kind of, might be because of how busy it is and etc., might be lost in the cars and everything else going around it. You did point it out, and I've noticed that, but I didn't kind of like wanted to say because it might not be the intention of the photo, but it also might have been what actually the intention behind this photo, which is like the photographer probably find it an odd coincidence that this guy is dressed like he was going to a rock star sort of like concert, and he's just sitting on like a scooter sort of thing. Like you wouldn't imagine it, but it's kind of like it's a funny contrast, and maybe it's what motivated this, but yeah, like I like that. Maybe what I would say, kind of like going with what you said, in terms of composition, I would probably get closer so that we wouldn't lose him in a way in the background. Just see what or maybe, I don't know, just try different compositions around him. I feel like he's a really good subject, honestly. I feel like the colors, the contrast with the scooter, his very nonchalant sort of position, the way he's positioned. Yeah, it's cool.
All right. Moving on.
Well, I think there's something about this photo, which is, to me, obviously, it's a funny one. Like, and I don't mean this in a laughing manner, like a bad manner. I think it's just such the way this all, like the reflection of obviously someone. I think this is the photographer was taking the photo just like this. It's his reflection with the cat. I wouldn't necessarily say it would be my alley. Of my favorites. I love to find value in everything, and I think the value of this photo relies exactly on the humor of it, if that makes sense. I don't know, I like it in a weird way. I mean, this is the thing, like I just sort of, I'm puzzled. I'm a bit like, okay, let me see what more I can like discover about this photo. But I just think like it's not a bad photo. Like, what makes a good photo? That's a good question. But I don't know, I feel like the value of this photo for me would rely definitely on the humor of it, and just like expression of the cat. It's just kind of like a meme-like expression. Do you know what I mean? So I like that. Don't know what you've got to add. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm intrigued.
I mean, definitely a photo that stands out right away. Like when you see it, you start to wonder how was this made. Then you realize it's a self-portrait, like a photographer is the one holding the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So simple photograph with a really nice composition, and most of all, like really good idea. Something that's not hard to take, but it's hard to find, I would say.
I'd say like I usually try and say this, but for me, a photo is also like where you and your personality and your thoughts and everything meets with your subject. And for me, I can read a lot about this person from their photo. And like definitely you have to be a very creative person and very like on point with details to see this, you know, like I think it's quite creative. I think it's quite unique in a way. And I think this is why this photo, like, despite the fact that it wouldn't necessarily be up my alley, as I said before, but that's like me, my personal taste. It doesn't reflect on like what the value of this photo is. And it's got a lot of value. For me, it's like very creative, very smart, very funny. And I think, yeah, that's definitely...
Also someone very experienced taking reflections and shooting through windows and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, then, moving on.
Ooh, I like the symmetry of it. I really do. Okay, so, well, obviously, first things first, for me, this photo is the impression that, well, what I take from it is obviously very formal in the sense of like shapes, lines, forms, colors, very warm colors. I really like it. Kind of like, I don't know, I think it's more like, it's not a photo that would necessarily reflect like a theme or like a very deep sort of thing, but like it's again kind of like the photo of the guy with the scooter that we've seen before. It's like one of those moments. I really like the symmetry of it. I really, really do. And I swear I don't have OCD. I just like the symmetry of it. I like the lines. And gosh, I keep thinking like, say sometimes when I go through photos, even with photo books and even like people sharing their photos with me, I just always think like what it must have been like in the moment taking this photo. And like, it's a hard thing. I mean, obviously it's kind of like a bird view. So, I mean, yeah, you've got to have some talent, some eye for this. Definitely. Very creative. I like it a lot. This is not film, is it? This is digital.
Yeah, digital.
Yeah, I was just wondering because there's hold on. Yeah, there's some white spots across the photo. And I wonder if there would be like
I see.
dirt on film, or if there's any filter on it. That's why I was wondering if this was film or not, but it's digital. But it doesn't really matter. I was just curious as a film photographer. But maybe it's like also, part of the pavement. It's part of the pavement. And I kept wondering if it was film anyway. Yeah. But yeah, what's your thoughts on it, Martin?
I love the symmetry. When I first saw this photo, I thought this was taken like this, or if this was straightened in the Lightroom, because it's very hard, whatever lens you have. You know, the left line is straight, everything is perfectly straight. I thought this would be a great photo for, because the guy who submitted that from London, I just got this vibe of like, I don't know, like London Olympics, something like that, like a advertisement or advertising on like a billboard or something like that, which gives me this vibe of
100%. This could be on like a Nike campaign or like Adidas campaign or something. Like definitely I could see like I could picture it just like just do it. I wonder, like, touching the subject that you're saying, like if this was like straightened up or something, if this person, because obviously it's a digital camera, so I wonder if they had a rotating screen and they could like compose like whilst, you know, it might be also the case of that. I mean, I always, not that obviously you can't use Lightroom or anything like that, but I always think of like, maybe they took it and maybe they just, I don't know, it might have been straightened up, or if it is straightened up in Lightroom, there's no problem with that. But I was wondering, maybe could have a rotating screen and just like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm guessing with you, like it's very, very straight. And I think this photo is all about the lines. It's all about being formal here.
Yeah, and the contrast between like squares and rounds of the ball and the hoop.
And I like the fact that even her like movement, like it was really a good capture because her movement just like going, like the flow of the movement. I like that. It's a good detail.
What do you think about this one?
It's quite normal to me. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be like harsh or anything. I have to be honest what I'm thinking. Is the person taking a photo, or because I feel like obviously there's this interest in the man blending with what's in front of him because of the colors, because his jacket, well, not his jacket, sorry, his shirt is the same color and his sort of like sweater is the same color as whatever's in front of him. And I like the idea that it seems like he's observing, or in a way, or taking a photo. I don't know, because he seems like he's got his hand like really close to his eye, so it might be taking a photo. But even if it isn't, it's kind of like what I like about this photo is not so much like visually speaking, like, oh wow, it's stunning, but it's the idea that reflects of being observed and observing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you have the photo, or you have, I'm assuming this is an exhibition, so you have an exhibition, then you have someone seeing the exhibition, and then someone seeing them seeing the exhibition. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a loop effect. It's kind of like that that painting. Gosh, I forgot. But it's Vermeer. And he's got this idea of like seeing and be seen in his paintings. And this is what the feel that this photo gave me. But I like the colors as well. Other than that, I mean, that's what this photo reflects to me.
For me, this is kind of like a similar idea. What we saw with the cat. Yeah, you want to do some kind of juxtaposition, and basically the idea is because they have quite similar color of the dress in the picture, and of the man is quite similar, right? Probably the intention of the photographer was that you would be tricked into whose hand is whose, right? If you know what I mean. I don't think the execution was quite right. I think the photographer would have to a little more to the right to make him more bland, to go maybe a little closer, or to make him more blend with the picture. So I think the photographer was onto something, but didn't quite make it work just by like I don't know, few inches. But other than that, it would be person who would be standing in front of the picture, and then the hands would be around him, probably like holding his hand. So I think the result of that idea might have been funny photo, but unfortunately it doesn't line up as much as I would wish.
Yeah, see, because like I would be inclined to agree with you. However, it's not so much like funny photo. I would say like it's the oddity of seeing and being seen for me here. That's why I said, like, in the beginning, obviously, that's why I was trying to kind of like articulate my words, because I didn't want to sound harsh by saying this is a normal photo. When I say a normal photo, it's like there's nothing like, you know, explosive happening. There's no like, it's just like the idea that he gave me was precisely that. It was a very much like the sort of like the moment where you just like, again, the confrontation of perspective. That's what I feel like. But I like it. I really do. I agree, like, you know, by standing back, it would probably help having some more sort of like space around it. Or for instance, like I imagine if this was an exhibition, wouldn't it be interesting to have more of the surrounding, say having more people and stuff, and then you have this guy blending, and this is the oddity that you probably would have want out, you know, like more like those photos where, for instance, in street photography you have so much happening, and then you have one particular element that is the sort of like the punctum, the funny thing about it, the odd thing about it. That's what I feel like this photo probably would benefit from, like more of the surrounding. This guy would definitely stand out more because of the oddity of being in front of the photo. I'm imagining this is a photo, like a photography exhibition, of blending with what he's seeing in a way. I wonder, but one can always wonder many things.
All right.
This is a nice one. A lot of like soul lighter sort of vibes in here, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? I gotta say, like, I don't know what streets these people are going through, but you know, like, I feel like this is so good, honestly. I wish like I would go down the street and see this all the time, honestly. I want to move to whatever this was taken. But so first of all, I gotta say, obviously, color. But it's so good that this is like, so you got obviously the matching of sort of like the banner and her jacket, and then you have like the tones. It's not so much the colors, but the tone, the tonality of the whole photo. It's beautiful. The darks, the contrast between darkness and light, and how it's sort of like, I don't know, it's so good. Like, and I gotta say as well, it's very balanced, like visually speaking. It just kind of like, you have two people, then you have like some sort of like, I wonder if it's like a street light or a street lamp, and then you have like the building, and aligned perfectly. I really like this photo. There's this sense of like, as well, melancholy or loneliness from it, which I like. Yeah, I really, really like this photo. I want to move to wherever this is from. And no, I really, really like this photo. There's a symmetry about it as well. Like a visual balance, an harmony. That's the word, an harmony about it. What do you think?
I love the colors. I love the contrast, the tonality, how you mentioned. I'm wondering if maybe because there is a splash of yellow on the right side, that's maybe a little bit distracting the lines on the ground on the right side. I'm wondering if this would be better if they would be facing towards us instead of leaving. What do you think?
I disagree. I think, and sorry, I mean, obviously we're not like
worries.
in an argument. I think it's more like, I think the fact that they're not looking at us is even better. Like there's something, again, it's got to do with like, at least the idea that it passes, like the idea of loneliness, the idea of like, in a way, kind of like a sort of alienation, Edward Hopper kind of thing. I could definitely see this being a painting.
Painting, okay.
And I could definitely see this being a painting. This reminds me of a painter named Jack Vetriano. So anyone watching this, if you want to check it out, he's got like this sort of like tones about it. The way he like sort of paints people as well, very kind of like graceful. And this reminds me of it, like the sort of style. I wouldn't necessarily say like the yellow lines bothered me. I feel like this photo was a photo that I looked exactly to the subject. And I think that's, well, obviously the subject here are these two people. So that's the main intention, I would say, with, you know, whoever photographed this. And I feel like it's a very, it's a solid like approach to it. And I really like it. Yeah, I really do.
All right.
I'm a big fan of everything so far.
Moving on. So what do you think about this one?
This is stunning. This is, well, black and white obviously brings to the table some very different, you can't talk about black and white in the same way they talk about a color photo, in a way, because I think black and white evokes a different sort of dimension. It's a bit more lyrical, it's a bit more poetic. This has got like a mix of fanho sort of vibes. And gosh, this is beautiful. Oh, I want to travel more. No, honestly, I feel like there's so many great things about this photo, and everything works so well. So there's this foggy sort of ambience about it, the reflection. So there's this beautiful deep black that touches the main subject, which I believe that is closer to us. I like the reflection of the water. It's like a reflected sort of, it's a reflection. It's a reflected sort of thing. It's a reflection. And I like the depth of it as well. There's a lot of, you've got the first boat, then you have a second boat, and I think there's a third one in the back. Yeah. And I like the idea of perspective that it sort of like draws. Gosh, this is beautiful. I wonder if this was taken like somewhere in Asia. Beautiful, like sort of like India, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, something like that. Yeah, I really like this. And again, what I get from this photo is very peaceful vibes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like very tranquil, like it sort of like puts me at ease in a way. I really, really like it. Congratulations again to whoever took this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this was taken on film, especially because of the square format. Or
yeah,
if
this seems like
just
a 6x6.
I'm also wondering because the first and the second boat seems to me exactly same. It seems there is a fog and then the second boat is in the distance. So I wonder if this was like a dodge in the Lightroom or editing program, something like that. And if the second boat was maybe less visible because there is this stick right to the second boat, which seems to be in the fog. The stick next to the first boat is just the same black as the first boat, right? And then the tree or whatever, the stick next to the second boat is just in the fog, but the boat isn't. So I wonder if this was, once you start more looking at it, so I'm just wondering if this was edited. I wouldn't really mind. I was just wondering maybe why the tree or the stick next to the second boat wasn't. I like the fact there are 3 boats, right? And yeah, like you said, kind of peaceful. Even though there are boats, water level is like so calm, so clear, right?
See, I wanted to say something else, which is kind of like, and this is why I feel like this photo is so magical, because like you're floating, because there's no separation between the water, the fog, and then obviously you have on top the sky, right? So it's such a perfect blend because of the texture of the photo is beautiful. I mean, whoever whoever took this, please reach out to me. I want a print of this. No, not obviously not taking from all the other photos that we've seen, but I feel like, again, because I'm such a big, I really like black and white, and I feel like this is one of the most perfect uses of black and white I've come across, like in, recently. And again, like, I feel the way it blends and the reflection as well, it's very abstractionist in a way that it's so concrete, but it's abstract at the same time. And I like that. I like when photos, in a way, are kind of like contrasting qualities, but it's just, well, it's beautiful. Not say anything else. Oh my God, that is beautiful. Honestly, wow, that is cool. I wonder, God, I would have expected this photo to be the other way around, wouldn't you? I like that about it, actually. Oh wow, it's visually stunning. I think like this is honestly incredible. Great eye for composition, great eye for detail, and it's such a moment. So first of all, obviously, the most, kind of like pointing the obvious, the reflection is beautiful. I like the way you sort of like, you see the division between the water and the sort of like ground, like the way it floats, which also combines with the line on top created by the building. So there's this flow that comes from like one point and just goes all the way up to the photo. I like that very much. I like the perspective in here, and that's probably the word I'm trying to look for. It's a beautiful photo. Like, again, whoever took this, please reach out to me. I want a print. I want a print of it. It's a very like simple moment. It's kind of like what this photo transmits. And again, I'm just in the deep philosophy as usual. The idea of the importance of a moment in time, with this photo, because it just goes to show, oh gosh, I don't know, it's beautiful. Like, it just goes to show like how important it is, the importance of photography, of kind of like immortalizing a moment in time, that is so fleeting, like, and it's just, it's about the vision, about the eye, and gosh, it's obviously, I like the colors, like the tones. I like the idea that in the reflection you have like more warm tones in a way, and then you have like this sort of like stretch of like ground, and it's a bit colder there. I like that because it kind of like gives you a sort of perspective, a dreamy idea in the reflection of the water, and then you have the harsh reality in a way. Not harsh, but you have the reality, which is obviously colder. And for me, it also reflects that, like the idea of dreaming and just like sort of like having that capacity, and yeah, I like that. What do you think?
When I first saw this photo in like a small thumbnail, I thought this is like a woman in front of like a pyramid in Egypt or something like that, when it goes like this because of the shape of the building behind her, right? And then I start looking at it. I like how she's clear background, so she's not lost in that. I don't mind the wires. I like the blue sky. Maybe something that I don't like that much is the bicycle. It kind of,
I like it.
Maybe it might be the intention of the photographer.
See, I feel like the bike, in my vision, I'm not so bothered about it, because you see how the lines like of the bike and like the kind of like the mechanics of it, like the matches with the electrical cables and like the cables that run around the photo. So if you see, there you have the light cables and stuff like that from the light in the street, and I kind of like that sort of combo of like having these lines and these sort of like very, in a way, vulgar things. Like, I like it. I really like it. Before we move on, like, have you not, like, I love this, the fact that every single photo is like from so many different parts of the world, like, that we've seen so far is so beautiful. Like, I like the fact that there's this vision of the world in a way, like through different like countries, different people, different photographers.
So what do you think about this one?
Okay, well, this one is definitely what strikes me straight away. It's just the boots, the military sort of like regimented kind of thing, like the idea of the military. And then you have like obviously the dog, which is kind of like, I wasn't going to say, is kind of like taken aback probably by something. We don't know if it's the the soldier or if it's something that happened. But yeah, definitely that is the striking straight away. I would say like I would like the color to have pop up more, if that makes sense. It's not necessarily that, you know, a bad thing, or like I would just feel like it would probably resonate with like probably more kind of like a stronger presence, because it is I think the subject or the idea of this photo is like the clash between like something so cute and pure in a way, like an animal, like a dog specifically, who's, you know, man's best friend, with positioning, especially because we have a gun as well. And that's a very like, whoa. I'd like to know the context of this photo, but yeah, I would say it's, I don't know, I really like this photo. Like, I like every single photo so far. But it seems like I'm kind of in a way like saying this because obviously we're recording or something, but no, like I feel like you have to see value in everything, like, you know, whether that is like, yeah, it needs improvement here and there, but there's something about it that you can always take from photos and from just life in general. And yeah, this one here is, and the way that the dog is kind of like, I like it, just taken aback and sort of like in a way like you can see that he's scared
of the gun, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the photo implies, right?
Yeah, definitely. I like it a lot. What's your thoughts on it? Because I feel like this photo is one of those that's quite obvious what it sort of is about.
I mean,
very simple, very nice.
Yeah, you get the idea right away, right? What this photo is about, the dog scared of the gun. Technically, this photo is kind of dark for me, or maybe just to isolate the subject. I like how the gun is perfectly visible against like the white background. I don't really like the leash that's kind of like interfering his face. I would like it maybe to be more on the side so we could see the dog. And then
I kind of think I'm going to sorry to interrupt you, but don't remind me that I have a note to do about the lead, because I think it's actually quite ironic.
All right, the background is kind of busy. Would be fine if it would be like completely blacked out as most of the subjects, right? But then you have the blue, which are little distracting. Overall, I think composition could be a little better on this. But go ahead, tell me about the rope.
See, it's a funny thing because it is going to be like probably very out there. Do you not feel like when people are in the military, they have to obey a lot of rules? In a way, they have a sort of color and a lead as well. And I like that. When I first look at this photo, I thought like, how odd that in a way, the dog being on a lead and the just like sort of like being controlled in a way, it matches with, you know, it's similar, like they clash with, you know, obviously being cute and being not violent, but associated with violence in a way, but also like they're both in a way controlled. Does that make sense? Like the dog being on a lead because he can't go too far, and just like keeping it tight and close. And obviously there's this idea of like the same with the military. And I find it very funny in a way that it adds up. There's obviously a big contrast, but also like something very similar about them. And I like the lead. I like the fact that it is there because it reminded me of this. And I was like, maybe. But it is, again, like probably it's a bit too far-fetched, but I like it. And I would say I would agree with you. I feel like if this was digital, maybe in the Lightroom, they could work on having more light, especially on the left corner, like sort of like in the dog itself have a bit more light in it, like a bit more exposed in a way. But yeah, I want a print of that as well. So please, I want a print of everything.
All right, moving on.
Oh, what is that? I'm very confused. Is this like an animal?
No, so this is a shot of...
Oh no, oh yeah, it's a parade. Sorry, yeah, that's right. I think I just didn't understood that they're very formally dressed. Like this is like the proper boots, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
This has got like Ernst As. Do you know what I mean? Like the motion, the blur. Ooh, I like it. It's very painting-like. You know, I like the flow, the movement, the colors between them. Very abstract, very cool. I really like it. I wonder, this was taken on digital, no?
Yeah, I think so.
But I like the fact that there's like a cross in front of them. And it's so, like it's such an interesting detail that this motion, this sort of like, especially because of the blur, like it seems like there's a lot of people coming towards a place, like whatever. There's a lot of people coming, and then there's a cross, kind of like, you know, which usually we associate with stopping and etc. Man, I really like the tones, especially because of the asphalt. Like it's not completely black, and it blends well with, maybe there was a lot of color work done here, I imagine. And yeah, I really do like this, man. And people are so talented. My heart is like full now, you know, because obviously we have like very sad things in the world, but then we see things like this and it's like nice. Oh, I want a print of this, of course, like you know, just have everyone just like reaching out to me. I'll buy prints from all over the world. Honestly, beautiful.
This looked like to me, when I first saw it as a thumbnail, this looked like a bunch of boats on a sea. I thought it's because of the movement and stuff, and then when I zoomed in, I realized those are boots. And I think it's very creative approach to capture a parade, or to capture, I don't know, some sort of soldiers or whatever it is. And I also like from the composition perspective, I like the diagonal, how this is taken from the left to right. The cross is kind of like on the edge. I maybe wish it was a little more in the space.
I love it. I love everything about it.
All right.
No, I really do. Okay. Well, there's a lot of things to talk about here. Again, we have a photo with reflections. People seem to be really tied with reflections on this episode of your. I really like it. I really like, there's this odd thing because like obviously the women are kind of like wearing summery clothes, and this guy is wearing like Santa Claus hat and is kind of like elusive to winter. I feel like maybe I wonder like the context of this photo, like he's so like, I would say like again it's more like a moment of street photography necessarily. There's this sort of like peace from him, like just being there sleeping, and they're just kind of like looking at him. I really like this photo because I feel like in a way these women kind of like are looking at him like a bit surprised, and I just like the idea of him being there so serene. So first, looking at this photo, obviously stands out the contrast of the women wearing summery clothes, and he's kind of like, you know, in this sort of like outfit. And I like there's an oddity about it, of course, like, and that's about, you know, that's the thing about street photography. You're kind of like, in a way looking for like the moments like this, you know, moments that are, in a way have its value. I wish the photo was a slightly bit more straight. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like the perspective. I also like the fact that everything around him seems to be very noisy and very full of like life, and he's just like sleeping. I like that. I like this sort of slumber. Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. Yes, I can see it now. Ooh, I like it. And also, first of all, obviously, and it's one of my favorite things to see in photos, actually, like the silhouettes of people, when you just don't really see them. I like the very dark, like I like the contrast, darkness to light. I was just trying to read what it says there. Don't really know. Yeah, I like, it's a very straightforward composition, don't you think? It's a very like just how should I say? You can see straight away what it is about. There's a lot of visual value about it. There's the buildings. There's like obviously this sensation of depth, and like the way the photo is composed, it just narrows your vision towards these people. I like it. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I like how the figures are nicely. You know, the shape of the figures is clear. I think this could be like on some kind of pamphlet or magazine of Katowice, the city. From the composition, I don't know if it's possible. I would probably crop a little more towards left, since there is
literally was going to say that.
But I don't know, you would either have to cut the bottom, which you would cut the silhouettes, and you don't want to do that, or you would have to cut the top, which you would cut the shape of the sun. So everything is unless you change the aspect ratio. So
I was going to say that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was going to say that like I feel like this photo would work better if it was a different aspect ratio. photo. And if it wasn't so much air on top, does that make sense? Like, you know, you have a little bit of like, if they were a bit more centered, like if instead of going like that, you just went like that. Did I kind of like make sense? Because I know sometimes I'm very confused in my own thoughts, so let alone speak them with coherence. But like, I feel that this photo definitely like I would love to see a more like not so much like space on top and just more like in the bottom, and just like kind of like see these people a bit more centered, because these people are in a way one of the centers of the photo, like the main sort of like subject is what we're drawn to. I would like to have more space to see the shadows kind of like blending with the ground and stuff, and that's what I would like to see personally. But doesn't take obviously merit from the photographer who captured such a beautiful moment. I really like it.
Moving on. What do you think about this one?
This one reminds me straight away of his Lisette Model. Very Lisette Model like. Oh man, this is beautiful. Again, I want to print. So I like the composition is beautiful. First of all, also reminds me of Andrei Tarkovsky in a way, with Ivan's Childhood, but that's another. I like the reflection. I like the idea of an upside down world kind of thing, because you have her and then you have him. I think it's a man. So you have him walking kind of like behind, underneath her legs. I like that, between her legs, sorry. Oh man, people are so incredibly talented, honestly. I like the fact that it's in black and white. This photo, I think, if it were in color, it would have probably not have the same power about it. So this obviously takes towards the abstraction, and you abstract yourself towards the moment. I really like the composition. I really, really do. I like the flow of, like, say you have the water coming from the left side, like the left corner going up, and then you have like her sort of like the flow of her, the motion of her walking and him in the background. And yeah, I really like it. Really, really do. Loads of texture here.
I love the idea of composing first subject like that. I like the composition, how the tower is quite visible in the reflection and it's not cut. The top of the tower is not cut. Maybe the only thing I wish is that the man had like a posture as the first subject, which would echo the shape. That would make the photo perfect in my eyes. Again, nothing you can do about this, right? And unless you stage that, that's just something, you know, you see the first subject, you see the reflection, then you go to the second subject, and then you can recognize it's probably a man. I would love to have the classic, you know, just more clear.
I kind of like the fact that he's so like, in a way, it seems like very lonely, very like he's looking down. I like the fact that he's looking down. He's kind of like, see, I was trying to picture when you were saying like, what if he had a sort of similar shape? I think if he had like a similar sort of like position to her, I don't know, because obviously you always go towards a different realm when you talk about black and white. And I like the fact that he's looking down. It seems to be carrying something. He's just looking down. It's sort of like obviously we don't know, but imagine if it was sad or something. And just like the oddity of capturing him in emotion in this angle. Oh, I like it. I really do.
All right.
Very interesting.
All right.
You see, straight away, I want to do a point from this photo to the photo we've seen before.
All right.
Of this is what I was talking about. If you had included more of the surrounding, wouldn't it make it more interesting, the fact that he was blending with the photo, you know, whatever he was seeing? And here, I think it works really well. The fact that, you know, looking, they're just kind of like trying to play with the shapes. I don't know where this is, but again, is the seeing and being seen for me, in my opinion, because it's more like there's more air to breathe. There's more around it. This is obviously kind of like within the same line of the other one. So it's, you know, the perspective of like seeing and being seen. And I like the, it's very well like balanced out, because you have like, it's kind of like the black shape, like the silhouettes are also people in a way. So it balances out the weight of the actual people in the photo with the silhouettes in the background. And I like it. I really do. I like the colors. It's very like, it's a photo that it's very happy. There's a very happy sort of like thing about it. Very content, sort of like about life. And that's what I get from it. Also because I like the contrast between the blue and the yellows in the background very bright. This is, I would say, there's a very bright energy about this photo. I really do like it.
Yeah. That kind of photo that you find some kind of scene and then you wait until the subjects kind of line up. Pretty much depends on what subjects are coming, how they fit in the composition. But I also feel like a lot of people were taking this kind of photo because it's just there are not so many possibilities how to make a use of the painted silhouettes. And
I like it.
All right then.
First of all, obviously a photo that has got like quite a lot of weight about it because obviously of what are the unfortunate times that people in Ukraine are going through, which I personally could do more about it, obviously. And I would just make a point here, and this is the thing. I'm just taking a point. I'm sorry for taking
no
kind
worries.
of like from the photography, but like I really would urge people, if you can, through your photos, through print sales, through like donations, through whatever you can to really help out like the people of Ukraine at this moment in time. Like it's very, very, very important. Like people that I knew and I know and spoken to them, and the situation, it's heartbreaking. So I just wanted to say, like, I'm kind of like, emotional when I see this because, I've heard of firsthand sort of things. And for me, it's just like, yeah, taking a bit from the stream now, but like, if you really can, please do. Like, don't think that because you're going to give an euro or $1, it's not going to make a difference, because you will. Because if you do it, then 10,000 more people do it, it'll definitely create an impact, no matter how small it is, but it will. And it will help out. And anyways, going back to the photo, I wanted to say, okay, so I really like this photo, as obviously I've done. And one thing that bothers me straight away is just like the chandelier, like the sort of light, it's just really into my eyes. But that's a little thing. It's nothing necessarily like too bothered about it. But I like the element of having a mask. I like obviously the surroundings of it. I wish this photo was kind of like had deeper darks. Does that make sense? Deeper shadows, and was a bit more clean in that sense. Obviously, the subject is related to kind of like what's going on and etc.
Last photo.
Well, I don't know. I don't recognize this photo at all. It's a good surprise. Well, what can I say? Well, first of all, I remember like when I first developed this photo, and I scanned it, I was like, I wish I could have placed him in a way, because he's a bit too dark, like his clothes for the background, so it can easily be lost. That's my cousin Michael. And I remember like taking this photo, and wow, I don't know, I like the idea that he's just lost in there and there's like so much depth to it. I don't know, that's why I took this photo. It was quite casual, really. It wasn't really like something like, oh, let's work this out. It was just like, oh, could you stop there, don't move, because he was literally standing like that, and I just like took a photo. Passes by, that's it. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, this was obviously taken on the film, right? So this is really like those like old theme parks. I don't know if the park.
This was taken in Blackpool, which is a seaside, and it's kind of like they're known for having like these 3 piers, and sort of along the pier you have like this sort of like Wonderland kind of idea, with all the rides and everything. And I guess that in here as well, what kind of like now looking at it, and at the time, it's kind of like evokes like a sort of dreamy kind of quality to it. Does that make sense? The Ferris wheel and all of that.
And then, so first I thought, like, what if he would be somewhere else in the picture, right? Maybe maybe under the pier a little more, in the like under the bridge, so he's more visible, or a little closer, so he's separated on the beach, or maybe if the point was a little higher, so he's not blending in the environment. But then I thought this, I don't want to say like imperfection, but his like blending in the environment, it gives this like old feel of the photo. I actually like it in the end. Yeah.
I think put old in that because this was 25-year-old expired film. And I remember like there were a lot of photos that didn't work out because of that. Like it was so like in a rough state. I didn't know where this film came from, as in like if it would have been kept in a fridge or if it had been kept in good condition. But this was, if I remember correctly, Ilford something. It's like an Ilford color film, which is obviously very rare because obviously Ilford is known for producing black and white films. So I would like to know who took this photo. I'd like to meet that person.
Would you like to get a print?
Yeah, please.
All right. So thank you very much for joining me today.
It was so much fun. I mean, everybody's so talented. Like, honestly, it filled my heart with inspiration. And honestly, everyone seen so far, like the photos, like, you know, congratulations. Like, and I'm so glad to see your work. Like, honestly, it's really amazing to see different parts of the world, to see different visions of the world. And yeah, it was a pleasure.
So thank you for joining me, and see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Thank you everyone for submitting your photos. If you want to participate in the future critiques, make sure to submit your photos to About Photography subreddit. You can find all the links in the description. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this critique. If you like that, then check out this video where I talk with Alex on Streets about your photos.